These sticky notes are fantastic. Like, look at them. I can write all sorts of notes because there's lines. Hey guys, I wanted to talk about something that's I think is kind of important, especially if you're a student. And today that topic is goals and motivation and self-discipline and how they all interact together and kind of what the difference is between all three of them. I definitely used to be the sort of person who felt like if I wasn't motivated that I couldn't get any work done, and I would sort of like, you know that thing where you're like, oh, I'm gonna study from like 7 to 9, like that's like I'm gonna block that time out tonight and I'm gonna like write a paper, and then it gets to like 7:05 and you're like, oh well, I guess I missed it, like never mind, I'll just keep watching Netflix. I used to get into all of those kind of like bad habits, and I would just constantly feel like I had to search for motivation, and that if I wasn't motivated, I wasn't going to be in like the right frame of mind to do schoolwork, or I guess like get anything done. And what I've learned over the past couple of years is that that is false. Motivation is not the key to success at all, and it took me a really long time to learn this, so if I can help anybody out by maybe like helping you reach this conclusion earlier and faster than I did, fingers crossed that I can like help someone with that, that will be great, because it's really important to learn, and I'll say it again, motivation is not the key to success. The problem with motivation is that it's fleeting, and it kind of comes and goes, and we're not really in control of when motivation suddenly like sparks within us. So it's unreliable is really what the problem is. It's totally unreliable. It comes and goes. And that's why sometimes you suddenly feel super motivated to do work and you have a great day and you get a lot of stuff done, and the next day you're like, never mind. I don't feel that way anymore. So if you only rely on motivation, you only do work when you're feeling motivated and inspired to do it, you're never going to do any work. You're going to work maybe like once a week, because motivation just doesn't last. It's not, it's not like a habit. We can't just be in this permanent state of feeling motivated and inspired. Motivation also seems to inspire people to do sort of like extreme things, like you suddenly get super motivated to like start working out, for example. So you make this big plan that you're gonna like wake up at 6 in the morning and go for a 10-kilometer run before school every single day, and maybe you do that for one day or maybe two, but just being motivated to get fit and get healthy isn't going to help you maintain that and do it over time. So if motivation doesn't work, if that's not the key to success, then what is? And my answer for you, wow, I just like hit a chord on my desk, and that was a little bit frightening for a second. But my answer for you is self-discipline. And it's a little bit boring, but that truly is the key to success. Motivation is like emails, so many emails from professors coming in all the time. I'm gonna turn the volume on my computer off so that it doesn't annoy me. And I need coffee. Where was I? Self-discipline is the key to success. If motivation is unreliable, self-discipline is the exact opposite. It is reliable. It's what you can actually rely on. The problem is, it's a little less fun. The secret to getting work done and like being successful is that you just have to do it. We all know what we have to do. If your goal is to get an A, like straight A's over the semester in all of your classes, you know what you have to do. You have to do all of the pre-reading. You have to take notes on your reading. You have to go to every single class and not skip any. You have to take really good notes while you're in class. You have to study diligently for all of your exams. You have to write your papers well ahead of time and do research really well, and have enough time to proofread. Like, we all know what we have to do to be successful. The problem is that we often just can't commit ourselves to doing all of those things over a long, sustained period of time. I don't rely on motivation to get up early on Monday morning and go to the library at 9 a.m. It's just self-discipline. That's the schedule that I have. I know I have to do it. I know that's what helps me to be successful, and that's what's going to get me to where I want to be. So I just get up and force myself out of the house and go to the library and sit down and get my work done. It's not fun, and it's not glamorous, and it certainly isn't like those like study montage videos on TV shows and in movies where studying like somehow looks really fun. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. University is hard, and it's stressful, and it's tiring. But it doesn't become like less tiring or less stressful or less hard if you don't do any work. In fact, it just gets worse. One of the biggest tips I can give you is to create a schedule. I, at the beginning of the semester, went through every single class that I have and figured out how much time per week I would need to spend like outside of class time, either reading or taking notes or studying or writing papers, and sort of put that into a schedule. And eventually over time, if you stick to it and you commit to doing it, even when you don't want to, even when you hate it, even when you would really rather do absolutely anything else on the planet, your schedule becomes second nature and it becomes a habit and you just do it. Like I said, on Mondays, I don't have lectures until noon, but I go to the library at 9 a.m. every single Monday. Or sometimes I work at home, but I start work at 9 a.m. every Monday, like studying. And I don't like doing that. It's not fun. Like, it is not enjoyable at all. In fact, it's sometimes a little bit depressing. But I do it because that is how I get my work done. So you might be wondering, like I mentioned, how having goals ties into all of this, and you might be thinking at this point, how does goal setting tie into all of this? Well, I think that it's easier to do the work if you keep your goal at the back of your mind. And for me, I like literally made like a goal poster about what my goal is for this academic year, and I have it like up on the wall in my bathroom. So I see it constantly all of the time. It's always there. So if I ever sort of think like, maybe I just won't do any work today because I can't be bothered, at some point or another, I'm going to walk into my bathroom and see that poster about what I want to accomplish this year. And then I have to remember, doing the work is how I get there. You know, and everybody has goals, and your goals are probably different than mine because we're different people, but you do have goals. And if you don't, I really highly encourage you to make some, because I think university is so much easier when you have something to be working towards rather than just like aimlessly plugging along through your studies. That's a bit like when you feel directionless, and like adrift in kind of the greater like world that is post-secondary education, it's so easy to just feel so lost and so confused and so like not inclined to do any work, if that makes sense. And I think as soon as you give yourself some goals, it clarifies why you're doing the work and it makes the work meaningful. So I feel like maybe this whole thing like might have gotten a little bit convoluted and like not clearly laid out. So I'll kind of try and like do like a little conclusion that like neatly summarizes what I've just like discussed. So the first thing is that motivation is fleeting and unreliable and is not at all the key to success. You do not need to be motivated to be successful, and you should not waste your time either waiting to feel motivated or searching for motivation in order to get stuff done. Secondly, the true key to success is self-discipline. You have to give yourself a schedule, you have to follow it, and you have to treat it like it's an obligation. Whatever it is that you're trying to like do more of, whether it's studying or going to the gym or I don't know, whatever else it is that you're trying to become better at, you have to treat it like it's non-negotiable. So if you put on your calendar every single, I don't know, Saturday, you go to the library from noon until 4 p.m. So you do 4 hours of studying every single Saturday. That means that like those 4 hours are blacked out. Like you cannot do anything else in those 4 hours ever because you have something to do and it's studying. The cool thing about like forming habits is the more you do them, the more they become automatic. And eventually, once you train yourself, I think some people say it's 21 days, some people say it's like 30, however many days it takes to form a habit. Once you get over that hurdle, it just becomes so easy and your body and your head just know. They're like, oh, like for me, it's like, oh, it's 9 a.m. on a Monday, off to the library I go. Point number 3, to help you stay disciplined, you need to have goals. And it doesn't matter what your goals are. They don't need to be super ambitious. Like your goal might be to be the next president of like your country, and that's great. Like good for you. Like we need people like that in the world. Or maybe your goal is to cure cancer, and again, we need you. Like we need people like you. But maybe your goal is just to get like an average for the semester that's 5% higher than it was last semester. Like I don't know what your goals are. I only know what my goals are, and we're different, so they're not going to be the same. But find goals and remind yourself of them. Write them down so that they're real, and put them somewhere where you're going to see them all the time. So that when you wake up in the morning and you think, no, I hate life, I hate university, why am I doing this? You can look at your goals and remember why you're working so hard. And if I can leave you with like one last take-home message, it's do what works for you. Like the schedule that I have where I work during the day and then take the evenings off, that's great and it works for me. It works amazingly for me and I'm so happy I discovered it. But it might not work for you, and you don't need to force yourself to take on someone else's like way of studying or way of approaching school, because it might not work for you. By all means, like if you think that what I do might work for you or is worth trying, like you should definitely give it a go, because there's no harm in trying something new. But if it doesn't work and you constantly feel like you're trying to, like, what's the phrase? Like push a round peg in a square hole, then try something else. Maybe for you, you are not a morning person and working in the morning doesn't work. Maybe you're the kind of person who does their best work after school and your mornings are when you relax. It's totally up to you. So finally, hopefully this all made sense to you, and hopefully there's at least one or two things in this video that you can take away and feel like you've either learned something or feel like you can make a small change in the way that you approach school. I talk a lot about school because I'm a university student and school is like the only thing that happens in my life, but these techniques and ideas can be applied to anything that you're doing, whether it's work, or I don't know what people do other than work and school, because I don't do anything else other than work or school that I would need to set goals for. But I don't know, maybe you're like an Olympic athlete, although probably if you're an Olympic athlete you don't need tips like this because you've like already mastered this and that's why you're an Olympic athlete. But fill in the blank here of whatever else it is that you're doing with your life that you can take on board some of these ideas and go out and cure cancer and become the next president of your country. I'm just going to sit here and drink Starbucks and then go to my politics tutorial, which starts in 25 minutes.